Journalism in Afghanistan. 1996–2001, Taliban era. During this period the Taliban regime put heavy restrictions on journalism and media. The regime shut down all independent media outlets and established a state-run newspaper called Shariat Times in its place. The regime also implemented strict censorship laws and only allowed media coverage that aligned with the regime's ideology and beliefs. 2001–2004, post-Taliban period. Following the fall of the Taliban regime, Afghanistan experienced a period of relative freedom of speech. Many independent media outlets emerged, including print radio and television. International organizations such as the News and the Afghan Media Resource Center played a crucial role in this development by providing training and resources to Afghan journalists. 2004–2014, presidential period. During this period media freedom in Afghanistan remained relatively stable. The Afghan government adopted a new media law which guaranteed freedom of speech and allowed for the establishment of private media outlets. However, there were also significant challenges such as government interference in media coverage and the targeting of journalists by various groups. 2015–present, current period. Despite legal protections of freedom of speech, Afghanistan continues to be one of the most dangerous countries for journalists. Targeted attacks and violence against journalists have increased, with militant groups such as the Taliban and ISIS being responsible for many of these attacks. The government has also been accused of violating press freedom, including by arresting journalists and blocking media coverage. Nonetheless, many Afghan journalists continue to report in the face of these challenges, often at great personal risk. History of radio. Radio broadcasting in Afghanistan began in the early 1920s with the establishment of a government-owned radio station. In the following decades, several other private and government-owned radio stations were established across the country. During the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan in the 1980s, radio broadcasting became an important tool of propaganda for both the Soviet forces and the Afghan government. Several new radio stations were established at this time, including Radio Kabul, which became the primary source of news and information in the country. After the fall of the Soviet-backed government in 1992, the radio broadcasting industry entered a period of instability and the quality of programming suffered. The Taliban government that took over in the late 1990s imposed strict censorship on radio programming, banning music and entertainment content and limiting news coverage to state-controlled media outlets. Following the overthrow of the Taliban regime in 2001, the radio industry began to evolve and grow. Private radio stations were established, providing listeners with diverse programming options that included news, music, entertainment, and educational content. Today there are dozens of radio stations operating in Afghanistan, both state-controlled and privately owned. Many of these stations are broadcasting via satellite and online, reaching listeners throughout the country and around the world. Despite ongoing security challenges and censorship concerns, radio remains an important source of news, information, and entertainment for the people of Afghanistan. History of television. In the 1960s, television broadcasting began in Afghanistan with the establishment of Radio Television Afghanistan (RTA). The first television station was launched in Kabul in 1977 and was followed by regional stations in other cities. However, television remained a luxury for most Afghans and was only accessible to those living in urban areas. During the 1980s, Afghanistan was plunged into war, which severely impacted the country's television industry. Many broadcast stations were destroyed and television programming was limited to government propaganda. The Taliban regime, which seized control of the country in the mid-1990s, banned television altogether as they deemed it un-Islamic. Following the fall of the Taliban in 2001, the Afghan government took steps to revive the television industry. Several privately owned TV stations were established, and the government also worked to expand access to television in more remote areas of the country. Today there are over 20 television stations operating in Afghanistan, including state-owned RTA and privately owned stations such as Polo TV